Hey everyone, welcome into Tree of Life Oracles. It's been a few weeks since I have posted and I apologize for that. I've had some life changes go down that were sudden and a little intense and I had to deal with stuff, but I am better and back and ready to go. So in honor of the Autumn Equinox, which actually is going to happen on the 22nd, this is an equinox pick a card, and I'm calling this one entering the mystical season. I don't know about you, but I happen to absolutely love autumn. It is my favorite, absolute favorite time of year. And I think it is for a lot of people for a variety of reasons. But the beautiful thing about the autumn equinox is that it's the moment where we begin to harvest all of the things that we have sown in the spring and summer. It's also where we take our first steps into the energy of the dark the dark time of the year. And it's an exceptionally beautiful time to reflect and to finish up whatever energies you've been working with and allow new ones to come in as we move closer to Samhain or All Hallows Eve or Halloween, depending on what you want to call that group of holy days toward the end of October. That's going to celebrate the time of year of the ancestors and when the veil is at its absolute thinnest between the worlds. And so the time of the autumn equinox is to begin that process or that countdown towards that thin part of the year when we thank our ancestors, greet our ancestors, celebrate the legacy of our ancestors, and then in preparation for getting ready for the dark night of the year with Yule. So for this pick a card, I've got 4 different piles for your selection. The first is the Urban Tarot, and with it we have green fluorite in the shape of a double pyramid. We have the Light Seers Tarot with a polished hematite stone. We have the Tarot of the Green Witch with bloodstone. Hopefully you can see that. And then we have the Gilded Tarot Royale with blue tiger's eye. Okay. And one of the things I want to do, just so that you can begin to think about or begin to grasp which one of these is your pile, I'm going to flip it over. I have the Wheel of Fortune on the bottom, so that'll give you an idea of what the artwork looks like. So this is the Urban Tarot. This is the Light Seers. This is the Tarot of the Green Witch. And ironically with this one, when I shuffled the deck and went to flip it over to look for the Wheel of Fortune, and it was right there on the bottom. So the magic is already starting. But this is the wheel in the Gilded Tarot Royale and the blue tiger's eye. All right, so if you'll take a moment and begin tapping into the energies and figuring out which one of these is your reading, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the readings are going to entail. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the theme of the reading. And then we're going to look at the energies influencing the season and how that can create balance for us. And we'll be looking at the places of earth, air, fire, and water. So influences of each of those elements for you. Then we're going to look at what are you harvesting in your life. So what's coming to fruition for you. And then we're going to look at the shadow energies that are being released. And for some of you, they may have already been released, or they may be in the process of that, okay? Then we're going to look at what you don't see coming. And then we're going to identify who is helping you. And we're going to look at both animal totems and other spirit guides. And then finally, we'll close it out with messages of advice and support from spirit. So as you begin to take a look at these different wheels of fortune, I'm going to see if I can pull it up a little bit more so you can get a little bit better idea of which one of these decks is going to resonate with you. Then we'll get started as you choose your deck, okay? Welcome in group one. This is your pick a card reading for the autumn equinox. Just as a reminder, we are looking at the theme of the reading. So that's going to be the first thing that we're selecting here. So let's get an idea of what the theme of this reading is. Please keep in mind this is a general reading. So not all messages may resonate with you specifically, but select the messages that do feel like they resonate and just simply discard the others. Don't try to make it fit. If it doesn't and it's not your thing, maybe it's pick a different pile, or just listen through and follow the bits of advice, but don't try to make things fit if they don't, okay? Just accept the energies that are really meant for you. And you're your best source of knowing internally what is built for you, right? So, all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna select a card from this. We're gonna take the one from the top. So the theme of this reading, that's interesting. Against nature, contra naturam. So, all right, so what Spirit is bringing in on this one is related to the fact that you've been struggling with either a block, which is going to be probably the majority of you. Blocks have been really significant over the last few months. And we've all really been working to clear a bunch of those different blocks. So having some type of block in movement forward. The other part of it is, and this is for some, not for everyone, is that this is going to be a time of really doing some introspection to understand if you're really doing self-sabotage when it comes to moving forward. And that's not everybody. And that's not also not meant as a judgment, because this is really about learning to look at our lessons and realize that even though they're lessons and they're harsh and sometimes very painful, at the end of the day, you learn something from it. And once you've learned that, you can move forward in a much more authentic and much more holistic way to really become the person you were meant to be and to embrace the life that you were meant to have, to be able to manifest that in. So we're looking again, group one, at blocks, having dealt with tons and tons of blocks, or potentially self-sabotage. So let's with that in mind, let's go through and look at the energies that are influencing this season for you or for this group. That's really focused on how do we start to find balance within the energies. So the first thing that we have, well, this is ironic. The first thing that we have here is, if I can pull it out, is music and harmony. Okay, I'm gonna slide your tarot deck over here. All right, so we've got music and harmony. Make sure you can still see those. We have, okay, so that's the place of water. And then in the place of, no, I'm sorry, that's not the place of water, that's the place of earth. In the place of air, we have sacred journey and pilgrimage. In the place of fire, we have prayers and wishes. Actually, I think I'm going to do those in a grid pattern. And finally, in the place of water, we have positivity. Okay? So as I look at these with music and harmony, there's probably been lots and lots of wishes or prayers for certain wishes to come true, things that you really want, being tired of waiting for things to manifest, where you've been doing such hard work on yourself, all that dark energy of working through the shadows and trying to find internally the way forward. And that's been a real struggle. It's been a real struggle even for many people, truthfully. So there's been a lot of prayers and wishes and looking. I love in this card, you see she's kind of looking down the wishing well, like, where is it? Where is it? Where did it go? Where did my wish go? You know? And the beautiful thing with this, though, is that there's the sun is rising and it's bright in the distance, and we have the winged ones that bring in that wisdom and the frolicking of the furry critters, and that's always, you know, playfulness. So better times are moving forward as we move into this place of autumn. And since this is really the place of air, one of the messages that I'm getting is that even though there's been lots of hopes and lots of wishes and prayers, is that it's been backed up with a lot of overthinking and fixating on stuff. And when you fixate on what you're wishing for, then you get in this place where you're super vigilant and you're constantly checking up on whatever it is you wish for. Is it coming in today? Is it coming in today? Ooh, maybe it's going to happen. I know I'm the worst at this. It's just been a huge struggle point for me. It's a huge struggle point for a lot of people. And so what you begin to do, though, is that you begin to attach to the outcome. Instead of tossing the wish out into the universe and just taking a leap of faith that however it's meant to manifest, it will. But understanding that the way you envision it may not be big enough. Like, I think sometimes that we want to manifest and we'll put out there what we want, but what we don't realize is that the way we put what we see in our heads and the way we put the wish out there, or the way we put the dream out there, is oftentimes very, very limited. I mean, we put limited parameters on it. I mean, if you've ever sort of envisioned or daydreamed about how something would work out, you put parameters on what that looks like instead of just saying, ooh, I want that wonderful, loving partner, or I want that really amazing career or job role where I can truly help other people and be so happy and content doing it. But then we start to say, but it should have this and it should have that, and I really want this and I really want that. And so as we start to knit all of the descriptions, and then we make it more and more and more and more detailed, what we're doing is we're really attaching to the outcome. And the energy that's produced from that anticipation or control, it's really just a form of control. We're trying to control the outcome. All of that actually starts to block what's happening, what you really want to come in. It took me a long time to understand that. And I've always been a student of energy, but I couldn't understand how that would reflect. It would actually deflect, actually is the word I'm looking for. It would deflect what I really wanted because I was just trying to control it all. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing by being specific and being detailed about it and being anticipatory of it happening. So that's where I think this card in the place of air is about. It's that in our mind, we create what we think it should look like. But the universe often works in ways that are much more grandiose than that. So Spirit's advising, the universe is advising that when you put your prayers and your wishes out there, all of those things that you put out there, the goal of Spirit is to send to you, based on what you've sent out, the energy fields you've sent out, and the energy vibration that you've sent out. The universe wants to send you something that's far grander and far more invigorating and spiritually uplifting than we probably imagine as humans. But when we start trying to control it, we're putting a block in that and we can't do it. And this idea of control and being so detailed, being so anticipatory of the outcome of what we want it to look like and when it should happen and all of this kind of stuff, it really, believe it or not, sends out a lower vibrational frequency, something that's actually more negative. And so when we look here at the place of water, we're being shown that positivity is really the name of the game. I mean, if you look at her, she's like, wee, it's so happy. Hopefully you can see that. It's so happy and that kind of thing. And so it's a reminder that the energy vibration is created in the emotional frequency, not in the details in your head. And so as we move into this beautiful time of the mystical season, it's really about, are you vibrating at the right frequency and being positive and being open and joyful and ready to receive instead of just constantly thinking about it. And I think for a lot of us over the last probably 6 months, as things have begun to transition in the energetic fields and the energy fields are raising for everyone, for the planet and that kind of stuff, I think it's felt so, in some ways, so out of control and so chaotic that this is, as a human, this is how you kind of try to ground yourself. We think that grounding ourselves is by thinking it through, and that really isn't it. Grounding ourselves, again, is another form of energy. It is an energy vibration, a frequency. And that's about being in the vibrational frequency of the Earth Mother and all of her species and beings, including her, of the soil, of the rocks, of trees, of bodies of water, that kind of thing. Instead of up in our heads where we're trying to just hammer it all out and be detailed. For the place of earth, music is coming in and harmony. So Spirit is reminding us that that's the real goal of the autumn equinox energies, is about finding balance. And that's balance within, heart and mind. It's balance without, body and spirit. It is balance in the world, right and left, front and back. Happiness and joy versus being hard-hitting with reality and sort of controlling things. It's really about finding that beautiful balance. And in the place of fire, we have this card 39. which breaks down to a 3, which is a co-creative kind of in numerology, it's a co-creative energy. And this is talking about the sacred journey pilgrimage. So Spirit is saying, hey, we talk about all this stuff and you want to manifest all these beautiful things. Understand that to the universe, this is all sacred. Everything that you're going through is sacred. So even when something doesn't work out the way you hoped it would, or where something sort of forces you to face some not so joyful things, it's all part of the sacred journey. So keep in mind as you move into this time of year that your sacred journey is an experience that's not just inside, but it's also outside of your body. So this is about not just moving forward and being positive, like positive thinking, but understanding that all of this that you've been through over the last months, years, whatever, is exceptionally sacred. And it was kind of a pilgrimage. When we incarnate here, it is a pilgrimage that we are seeking through life. And sometimes that includes learning lessons about the world and about ourselves and about others that is incredibly unpleasant and feels very negative and very very defeating sometimes. But it isn't. It's all part of the sacred journey. And Spirit is saying that you've really crossed through a huge portion of that sacred journey. And so the final throes of the sacred journey is to throw off the parts of you that are self-sabotaging things by trying to control it, or it's time to throw off that last little vestige of trying to work just in the mind and not realizing that your nature is very holistic. I like this card because when I look at it, when you look at this, you see flowers, but you kind of see tentacles as well. And this reminds me of it's like a marble, but it reminds me of an eyeball. And when I look at this, and you see the spring, the green of spring, and then you see the reds and golds of autumn, is that sometimes to get the flowers to bloom, you got to go through some icky tentacles to do that, right? And the universe is watching. Your guides are watching over you, even when it's miserable. So in terms of what we're doing, Group 1, as you move into the new season and really about creating balance, that's really what your guides are asking you to do, to remember that it's sacred, to stay in positive thinking and not quit trying to control everything, and use music. There's such beautiful symmetry and such beautiful frequency in music. And so you're really being called to experiment with that as you go forward. All right, so let's pull some tarot with this, okay? Let's get some more information. All right, guides, universe, angels and spirits, those that seek to give information to Group 1 for Group 1's highest good. What more information can you give us about moving into the energies of the autumn equinox? So we have the Princess of Swords. Let's see. Sorry about the light there. That's the activist. Interesting. Okay, let's put that here. What else? All right, we have the Eight of Wands with swiftness. We have the Princess of Discs and the kindergarten teacher. else. And we have the Knight of Wands, the rock star. So what this is showing me immediately is a story that you've been taking action. You know, the Princess of Swords, in this case, Princess of Swords is pretty much the Page of Swords, right? But you've really been trying to take a stab at positivity. This says you've actually been doing that, okay? And that creates the right kind of activism, the right kind of energy, and it's going to move you forward because you've been doing that. The more you stay in the positive mindset and just allow it all to play out, you're going to find that this Eight of Wands is really, there's a reason swiftness is on there, and there's this big wheel turning on the bicycle. You're going to move forward super quickly. Your change is just flying in. And the Princess of Discs is the Page of Pentacles, or the Page of Coins, and the kindergarten teacher. And this says all of those lessons, most of which are probably rooted in your childhood, have really become a schoolroom that you're starting to master. And you've mastered quite a bit of it. You're moving into this Knight of Wands energy, the rock star, right? As you've learned this information, the more you learn, take action, be positive and take action, move swiftly forward, just keep going. This is going with the flow, but it's going with the supercharged flow, right? And accept your lessons as part of the building blocks of what you learned, because that's what's going to propel you into rock stardom. That's what's going to get you to where you really want to be, which is being a boss of yourself, of your life, knowing that you're sending out all this fantastic, creative, beautiful, passionate, energetic energy that's going to change your life, that's going to help you to become who you really are. And you've done a lot of this work. But I love the way the kindergarten teacher is looking back at the Eight of Wands and looking back at the Princess of Swords, because this is the reflective part. We talked about the introspection, reflection. This is the reflective part. You're able now to look back and just see how far you've come and how quickly you've come, even if it felt like years. Maybe it was years, but it's speeding up, and it's been speeding up over the last few months. But the kindergarten teacher is really looking back and going, yes, I did this. I've done this. I'm getting the hang of this. I'm learning what I'm supposed to do, and I'm feeling good about it so that I can move into this, so that I can get confident and powerful and speak my truth and just go out there and be that person I want to be, so that people are going to listen to me, and I'm going to embody my very best, very strongest self. So you've come a long way. You know, oh, I got that Virginia Slims ad from zillion years ago, that you've come a long way, baby. Well, you have. You've done lots of beautiful work, and the very next thing is to come. You know, the quiet you, the studious you is turning into the creative powerhouse. And that's who you want to be. This is where you're headed. Because the next step after the Knight, that's the Queen and the King. You're moving toward complete mastery. And what an awesome thing that is, right? All right, let's look at what you're harvesting in your life during the autumn, okay? So the first thing that we have is happiness. Harvesting happiness is never a bad thing, ever. We have, oh wow, heart home, compassion. And we have stillness. Love that beautiful swan. That's amazing. So this again is just Spirit's just reinforcing what we just said. You're gonna be harvesting happiness and this ability even to deal with people who drive you bonkers, people who make you crazy. you're going to really start to embody this place of happiness and compassion. And not only, don't think of it as just accepting others no matter how horrid they are, but realize that when you're compassionate toward others and you accept them at their level, keep in mind they're going through this sacred journey too, even if they don't seem very sacred. You know, I think sometimes, and this is, I don't mean to sound judgmental or politicizing, but what I hear a lot, you know, in our communities, our metaphysical and more spiritual communities, is that sometimes when we talk about, you know, what we see in the cards, we still can't get past that there are others on the other side of the aisle that we don't agree with. And it still becomes all about, well, but I'm in the, you know, spirit is behind me because that person's gonna, ultimately karma's going to get them. Everybody that incarnates here is on that sacred journey. No matter if they live their life as a person who is not very nice to others, or a person who is very self-focused, self-absorbed in a way that hurts others, or things like that. We are all on a sacred journey, and we really have to we've got to find that compassion to understand it. It's like understanding you have to have compassion for the other person, whether you agree with them or not. Even if you think that they're a complete idiot, it doesn't matter, but it's learning to resonate with that frequency of compassion. Ultimately, that's where the change on this earth is going to come from. It isn't going to just come from, it isn't going to come from people rising up against the machine or against the powers that be through an anarchical thing. Because what that does, even though, and hear me out before you flip the switch, okay? Hear me out. Even though there are definitely polarizing beliefs, and there are a lot of things that feel way more empowering for people, and a lot of things that feel way more exclusionary and negative toward people. So I'm not talking about that, okay? Again, it's not about, we know that there are certain things that no matter how they're dished out are not good for mankind. They're not good for communities. They're not good for us and the people, you know, people everywhere. I think the thing that I've always clinged to, I'm a Star Trek nerd from the original series, but one of the most beautiful things that Mr. Spock always said is that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And yet, and I've always believed that we look at that. And so there is this polarity that we should look at the needs of the many, and that's more important than the needs of the one. And yet, at some point, when Spock was dying, Kirk looks at him, his very best friend, and he said, and Spock says to him, why did you do this? It's not logical. And he said, because sometimes the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many. And if you think about that from a place of compassion, no matter how much you despise or support what's going on in the world right now, the rhetoric, the philosophy, the control, the whatever, put a word on it, it doesn't matter. No matter where you stand on that spectrum. And if you truly believe that where you stand is the right way to go, understand that all of the others who are in a place of opposition to you are also on a sacred journey. And they're learning lessons just like you are, just like I am, just like we are. So it's through compassion that the frequency in the world will change. It isn't just about voting in the opposite direction or doing to the opposite side what you perceive as having been done to you by them. It's not tit for tat. It's not an eye for an eye. It is truly about compassion. Because when we focus on compassion and joy and happiness and love, it changes the vibrational frequency in which we exist, in which we embody. It changes the frequency of our human body, but it changes the frequency of the Earth Mother as well, and the frequency of our solar system. And as that frequency alters and changes and rises, suddenly blinders begin to fall off and people become more compassionate. People begin to wake up. I don't mean to go off on a tangent. That's just what Spirit wanted me to say. So this is really reminding you, you're headed for happiness. You are headed for compassion, and also the stillness. And in that stillness, you can appreciate how far you've come and where you're going, where you're moving forward. Okay, so we're going to look now at the shadow energies that are being released. Spirit, oops, that one came flying out. Oh, two of them actually. So let's see what these are. All right, we have card number 5. And we have card number 18. I'm going to put that there and that there. And then I'm going to draw from a new deck that I just got. And for this one, I'll have to read from the book. It's called The Blind Spot by Teal Swan. And these are all sigils. And then I'll read from you from the book, whatever sigil it is, so you can understand what it's really highlighting in terms of what's being released. And these are really, all of these cards are meant to be things that you don't see. But a lot of them are about more adverse kinds of energy. All right, so let's see what comes up. Okay. All right, and so we have sigil number 59. All right, so let's read from this one in terms of sigil 59 and see what it says. Projection. So sigil 59 is really about projecting. And it says if you've drawn this sigil, you're projecting onto someone else. Okay? And it says the crucial thing to understand is that when we see the things in other people that we are totally unaware is that we do see things in other people that we're totally unaware of in ourselves. And it's the essence of projection. When we see negative aspects of ourselves that we denied in other people, it causes us to feel triggered. We have the same reaction to it that we had in ourselves long ago. Reject it, hate it, get rid of it, and avoid it. When we see positive aspects of ourselves that we woefully denied in other people, it causes us to fall in love. It feels like an opportunity to become more whole. We want more of it. We can become addicted. We glorify it and put it on a pedestal and sometimes even idolize it. So this sigil has come to remind you that any extreme aversion to a trait in another person is a reflection of the level of rejection that you developed toward that trait or the potential of that trait within yourself. So the more you hate something in someone else, the more you rejected it within yourself long ago. So when we're looking at that, and then these two other cards, we're talking about projecting. This is really saying that if you've caught yourself projecting, or maybe even if you haven't caught yourself projecting onto others, that part of that's about to be released. And the other thing with this one, with this card, when I look at this one, when you see this light sort of hanging down, this is a reflection of spiritual guidance, like from above, the winged beings and the ship being steered by spirit as you move forward. But you see when she's moving forward, it's a little stilted. She's a little hesitant because she's going with where she's being shown from spirit, and the spirit is guiding her in the guise of the boat with the wings. And the other thing with this, with the mom and the baby here, is this is also about being held super tight and nurtured. And when I see this moon and the stars, that it's really talking about your guides. So this idea that you're projecting on, or that you might have been projecting onto others as you were dealing with things in yourself. And we all do it. Okay, no fingers pointed. We all do it. But that's being released, this need to project, because you're finding this beautiful happiness and this compassion, and you're finding this place of stillness within that allows you just to receive so beautifully from the universe. What these two cards are really talking about is that you're about to go through a transition with some of your spirit guides. So the ones that have been helping you through this last phase are moving on. And that doesn't mean you're going to be without. It just means that the next round of guides are coming in to help you focus on the next part of your journey and the next part of your life. So that's really interesting that it's the time, guides sometimes will transition with us as we transition out of phases. And so this is what we're really releasing as we move into this beautiful autumn, the need to project, and that the guidance, this very almost controlled guidance. I don't know about your guides, but I know with some of mine, the harder the lesson it is for you to learn and for you to get through, the more they have to handhold you and steer you. And it can become very cloying and insistent, especially if you're not getting it. So then you keep getting you feel like you're getting bad juju coming back on you. And it's just because you haven't really fully reconciled what you're still doing that you need to let go of and alter. So this is basically saying that you have successfully walked through this need to project onto others, and that you're finding that place of happiness and compassion. And so the guides that have been really working with you are moving on to something else. And for those of you, if your guides tend to stick with you, then they're going to start focusing on different things with you if they're not completely leaving you. So you're still beautifully loved and nurtured by the universe and by your spirit team. But it's time for them to either change how they're going to guide you, or some are going to bail and others are going to come in because it's time for you to focus on something new. So what you don't see coming, this is the stuff that's still hidden from you. The rainbow. Rainbows are never bad. I love that one because it really looks like movement forward as a bird. We also have Mao Shan, the Princess of Mercy. So the statement on this card is giving is receiving. Let's see if you can see that. The energy of the universe is merciful. Okay, so we have those two energies coming in. The things that you don't see coming in to help you are here. And let's pull some more tarot. What else is happening for group one? Wow, we have, this is the Four of Discs. We have power. and we have the 9 of discs, gain. All right, group 1, you really are about to have lots and lots of stability and material abundance coming in. And this, normally in Rider-Waite-based decks, this card of the 4 of Pentacles is really about controlling and sort of being miserly, and it's when it's badly aspected. But this case, this is more of a Thoth-based deck. And so when this comes in, this is about being powerful, embodying your power and your ability to be abundant and grow and adapt, and to empower yourself to move forward. And with this rainbow energy, it's moving you into a place where you're going to look at the world and you're going to look at your stability and your security and your abundance in an entirely different way. It's not just going to be about, do I have food on the table? Do I have clothes to wear? Do I have a place to live? Do I have money coming in? You're going to begin to really look at abundance in a much more holistic and magnificent way. And this nine of coins or 9 of pentacles is, it's all of that as well. It is greater independence, greater financial independence. It is a greater sense of abundance for yourself and how you work within your life in the world. It's going to offer you opportunities that you just don't see coming yet. And one of the key principles with this is just remembering that it's really about, manifesting is also about reciprocity of energy. Giving the right energy helps you receive that same energy in return. So it is about reciprocity with the universe in terms of the right frequency and this place of happiness, compassion, and joy, and feeling powerful, feeling empowered, feeling abundant as you give out, so you receive. All right, as we look and see who's helping us, we have the guide who's helping us is the Peacekeeper. This says, let go of the need to be right. So that kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier about compassion. Just understand that even if you can't possibly agree or find any kind of compromise with somebody, be compassionate in the process and be compassionate for them. And then we also have Deer energy, trusting your instincts to guide you through the situations. Now, this particular card represents the white buffalo calf woman, she is the incarnation of the Earth Mother on Turtle Island, and to all of the indigenous people on the North American continent and in Middle America. Probably not as much in Middle America about the white buffalo calf woman, but they're all representations of the white buffalo calf woman. And she is the ultimate mother, and she is the bringer of wisdom and nurturing. So this is really about understanding that if you aren't in a competitive state and you're in a compassionate state, then that's where the wisdom lies in the situation. And the great white buffalo calf woman is, that energy is with you. And even if you don't recognize her as somebody like that, there are other beings whether they're gods or goddesses or ascended masters or angels or other wisdom keepers through the ages who bring this type of peace as well. So just understanding that, letting go of the need to be right, and then trusting your gut. That's what's going to help you move through this next phase of the year and your life. All right, to close this out, we have some messages from Spirit, and these are just messages of goodwill. One of the things I want to do before I do that is I'm going to pull charm. Let's see. charm or two. Let's see what we got here. So you guys have an A. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. An A. So that could be an initial that you resonate with, or that could be, I don't know, it could be anything. Oop, there's a key. Try to get these so you can see them. And we have, I'm trying to see who this is. It looks like Frankenstein, little Frankenstein. So the way I see these, you know, with A could represent your initial or someone else's. It could represent something you're making a choice for or something. The key and then the Frankenstein is realizing you have the key to move forward into the future that you really, really want. And you are literally finally at the door. You're ready to put it in the slot and turn the key. You're ready to open the door, okay? Frankenstein is remembering that even though it feels like the journey you've been on has been rough and that you're just you have been through the ringer and feel like you've been stitched back up together, back together again. You still have purpose and you have great stature. One thing about Frankenstein is that, they called him a monster, for Dr. Frankenstein's monster. But he wasn't a monster. He was, even though he was stitched up together and he didn't look human or very, very earthly. The one thing that was always true about Dr. Frankenstein's monster is that he was innocent and that he was trying to learn. Even though he was a mixture of all types of pieces and parts of others to create him. So just remember, be compassionate toward yourself. You are still an innocent and beloved child of the divine. And that even though you feel like you've been, all the lessons that you've been through throughout your life and through these last few months and potentially years, even though you feel like you've been through the ringer and you've just sort of had to patch everything up, the reality is that you're whole and that you're learning and that you are curious and innocent, and that's what's going to move you forward. All right, some messages from Spirit. First thing that we have is the Wheel of Fortune. New beginnings, the end of delays, a change in direction that offers happiness. Archangel Jeremiel. We have prayer. In this situation, this is representative of the solar plexus chakra. So this is truly about being confident and manifesting, and you've set your intentions. Your prayers have been answered. They're going to be answered quickly. Okay. We have the world. The world is your oyster, right? This is about go big or go home, right? A whole new world for you. And whether that world is literally the world or if it's just something that's completely different that you never thought you would do, you're going to find what completes you. I believe one of the cards in the beginning talked about completion, right? Right? I don't remember, but that seems familiar. You're going to find your place in the world, and you're going to find what completes you. The World card is the end of the major arcana. It is the ending of the Fool's journey, and yet it is the beginning for the next incarnation of the Fool's journey. So that's really amazing. Oh, hummingbird spirit and joy. Oh, that's just amazing. Joy, 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 happy, happy, joy, joy. And that card is a 22, which is a master number. There it is, right there. 2 times 11, master number. Okay. And finally, be, feel, and receive abundance. All that you desire is achievable. You have come a long way, baby. I hope Pile 1 or Group 1 that this reading has brought you the information and that you can find the pearls in it that are meant for you. I've enjoyed very much reading for you today. Thanks so much for those of you that like and subscribe. If you enjoy this message today, it would be great if you'd hit the thumbs up, only because it just moves it into the algorithm that gets the videos shown a little bit more to others. I thank you so much for your support and your beautiful energy and your time. And I'm so happy for all of you that the dark days are over and that you are most assuredly, even though we're moving into the dark night of the year, the darkest part of the year, your dark soul days are over and you're moving into this beautiful light. So you've come full circle. You see on this? You've come full circle. Thank you so much, Group 1. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hey, Group 2, welcome into your Equinox Pick-a-Card reading, entering the mystical season. I'm going to be picking for you a theme for your reading. Then we're going to look at the energies influencing this season and how to create balance. And that's the place of earth, air, fire, and water. And then what are you harvesting in your life? What shadow energies are being released? What you don't see coming? Who is helping you? So we have an animal totem and a guide. And then we have messages of advice and of support from your guides. And we'll be using tarot to clarify in a couple spots through there. And keep in mind that this is a general reading. Not all of the messages may resonate with you, so just take the stuff that does and ignore the stuff that doesn't. Don't try to make it fit. If it doesn't fit your scenario, then it isn't meant for you, and feel free to pick a different pile or just to take the parts of it that do resonate with you. Okay? All right, here we go. All right, we've got one right there. Let's see what the theme of your reading is. Oh my goodness. That came out for Group 1. Against nature. Oh my goodness. I promise that I shuffled the deck and that came out for Group 1. Wow. Okay. So against nature. So this can mean a couple of different things. One, this really speaks to the nature of self-sabotage. And that's probably been a theme in your life as you've come into this moment in time in terms of dealing with your growth and your changes and your spiritual journey and stuff of that nature. So it really talks about how we can block things from happening and also how we can self-sabotage. And in the end, they both do the same thing. One of the things I was talking about with Group 1 is that what you'll see is you have this beautiful green spring energy and then this autumn energy here. And lots of tentacles with flowers. And you can't get flowers, without having to go through all of this growth of the nasty stuff, so to speak. And that the spirit has their eye on you, right? So this is basically saying that this is where you've come from. And the whole goal of this moving forward is that we're going to move away from blocking the natural way of things, and we're going to move away from sabotaging ourselves and keeping ourselves from manifesting the life and the purpose that we're here for. So let's look at the energies that are going to influence this season and how they're going to create balance. So in the place of earth, we have love and compassion. Compassion and joy came up a lot in Group 1's reading as well. So you may want to check that out and see if there's other messages in there for you. in the place of, or the energy of air. We have regeneration, death, and rebirth. And you actually got 2 cards for air, group 2. We have take action, number 37. So I'm gonna put those together. Actually, I think I'm gonna do them like this, okay? And then in the place of fire, we got sun and stars. And in the place of water, we got innocence. Innocence also came up in group 1's reading. So there's a lot of similar themes going on. So when I look at this, is that what I see in this love and compassion card, there's 2 hands. And it's really about reciprocity, giving and receiving. And I think for a lot of us over the past months or years, it's either been a situation where you've overgiven and denied yourself the ability to receive, or you didn't know how to receive. But compassion is a huge thing moving forward. And it doesn't just mean love in relationships. It means really having compassion for everyone. And I'll kind of give you some similar information that came out. My guides had given me a message in the first reading that was really talking about how it's so important to, whether you are diametrically opposed to someone's thought process or viewpoint or their beliefs or their position or philosophy or their actions, we can't just deal with that by being in opposition, because opposition, that just the very nature of the word of opposition creates, or not the name of opposition, the very nature of the act of opposition creates resistance in terms of frequency. And we're talking about energy here. We're not talking about ethics. We're not talking about morals or philosophy. We're purely looking at the energy fields at play here. So as we move forward and we start dealing with folks and the earth is changing, we can see it all around us. It's so important not to create resistance. And that doesn't mean that you have to just give in and go with what somebody else says, especially if you don't believe that that's the best way to go. If you find it to be something that's ethically unacceptable. But what it's reminding all of us is that as we deal with opposition, with something that we can't agree on, we have to do it in the place of compassion. And this idea of regeneration here, regeneration, death, and rebirth, that's the beautiful transition, the beautiful transformation. And in order for the earth to change and our lives to be healthier and happier, and for just humanity as an entire species to move forward, for the earth to move forward, we really have to look at how we create regeneration. And that means truly leaving the old stuff behind, the old ways of thinking, the old ways of being, the old ways of acting, behaving. We have to leave that behind and be reborn into something that's more conducive with compassion and love. And you know, that whole thought process about forgiveness, when you hear the messaging over and over again, oh, you need to forgive. Forgiveness, it doesn't absolve the person for what they did, but it makes you feel better. So you have to think of this as kind of the same thing with compassion. It in no way treating treating all people with compassion, even when they really tick you off, even when they are morally reprehensible. Compassion is a frequency of being. It isn't a judgment. It isn't a permission slip. It isn't any of those things. But if we want the earth to be a better place and for all people to be a better place, we have to raise the vibration on earth. And we have to do that by living in a place of compassion. When we don't agree and we fight back just with the idea of creating change, every time we create that opposing force, that friction between two things, then we're actually producing an energy that just perpetuates the same thing. But if we go through and we create change, still offering love and kindness, turning the other cheek, we continue to be compassionate because that is a higher vibration, and simply make different choices, but do it from a place of kindness and love and peace as we do it, and not by being snarky and cruel and take that in your face, that kind of stuff. We actually raise the vibration. And the more we raise that vibration, then all of those people that are clinging to fear-based ideologies or just fear in general, or the need to control or the need to manipulate, all of that comes from fear. All of it comes from fear. They're not operating in their heart chakras. They're operating in fear in the base chakra. But if we stay in a place of compassion and create change because but do it in a place of compassion, the vibration alone makes it easier for them to catch on to the vibration. And when they no longer feel afraid or threatened, that's where change ultimately begins. So regeneration, death, and rebirth. When we look at the sun and stars, the sun is masculine energy. It represents that. It represents the solar plexus, the leadership, the confidence, moving forward, taking action. The moon represents the feminine energy, and it is a place of quietness, stillness. It is a place of dreaming. It is a place of sometimes the shadows where we have to work through. And as you notice with this particular person, she has her telescope. So you've spent all of this time, these months and weeks, years, really looking through these energies to find this balance. Remember, the autumn equinox is really, as we move into the dark phase of the year, it is about finding true balance. And that's what this card is saying, is that you've done the work in terms of really looking at yourself, looking at your behavior, looking at your ideas, looking at your fears, your hopes, your dreams. You've done that, and you're coming into that balance. If you don't already have it, you will be there very quickly. And remembering that you have approached all this with innocence, but you have come out of it much wiser because you've taken action, right? You've come out of this and you're finding a place where you're finding your place in terms of what you want to do and who you want to be, but you're doing it from a place of balance. You're not doing it from a place of confrontation or from a place of fear. Now you're doing it from a place of balance. Okay. Let's pull from the Light Seers Tarot. Spirits and guides, tell us more about this information for group 2. First thing that we have is the Hermit. What else? What else for group 2? The Moon. What else for group 2? Knight of Wands. And Strength. So what Spirit is reinforcing is that if you've been in a place of seclusion, and even if it's not physical seclusion, if it's just been emotional seclusion, mental seclusion, just being too tired to deal with people and all of those things, even if you've been in that place, I'm going to adjust the screen just a little bit. Here we go. For a period of time, all of the shadow work that you've done through the emotions, through the just being aware, the dream work, the inner journeying, the meditating, the all of those things that you've really invested in and that you've really done has created transformation on the inside, so that now you're going to come into this place of creativity and passion and drive and this desire to move forward and to find your place. I love this Knight of Wands because it shows the fire as she's drumming, and yet there's a horse who's just taking off. And so this is really about creating that inner fire and moving it on the outside and taking action. It goes back to this card here about taking action. You are ready to move into this place instead of just sitting back and observing and trying to find what it is that you need. Now you're in a place of action and movement forward because you are much stronger, and you need to trust in yourself and trust in your strength, that you have better, if you've been afraid of not having good self-control, or you felt that you just felt exhausted, or on the inside, you know, you felt like your soul was just tired. I mean, I've said this to myself so many times that I feel like my soul is just tired. And if you've been in that place, and I suspect many of you have been, understanding that you are so much stronger now than you realize. And it is a balance. This card is really about the balance of the anima and animus. Again, masculine and more feminine oriented energies within. But in this way, it's looking at the self-actualized man being balanced with the sort of the animal drive within. And I love this card. Most of the decks will show with some type of you know, big giant cat, lions, tigers, that kind of thing, because that implies that it's hard to tame and that you've tamed it. But in this case, this card is saying that you've actually tamed your emotional softer side, the part of you that's vulnerable. You have come into strength, and now you're at balance. You have a balance between vulnerability and strength. You're able to stand up for yourself. It comes back to this innocence card. You've come through this having this newfound awareness of what it means to be both strong and to be vulnerable, and not to be afraid of that. And I think that's a really powerful thing. Sometimes it's easier to control our wild urges than it is to control our vulnerability, or it's easier to tame our wild urges. I shouldn't use the word control, that's not the right word. To tame our wild urges than it is to accept our most vulnerable aspects. Because when you're living in vulnerability, you are living in a state of openness and a state that is easily violated by others. So to understand that you've come through this and that you're strong enough and you can still be vulnerable because your strength has enabled you to do that, that is a very powerful thing, group 2. That is a very amazing thing. So as we look at what you're harvesting with the autumn equinox, so we have perseverance. You have persevered. And the horned cactus, you've become more resourceful. And that's 11, by the way, another master number. And the cosmic womb, this says the divine feminine. And that immediately, it's interesting that, you know, Spirit's fantastic. They're laying this right on top of the innocence and right on top of this vulnerability card, the cosmic womb. And then finally, we have opportunity, okay? So we're looking at lots of growth, just becoming stronger, becoming more balanced. You are really able to tap in to the divine feminine energies. And when I look at this card, and it is a 6, so it kind of harkens back to reciprocity again. This is your ability to tap into the universe and to receive. So to bend out, to be able to send out the right energetic frequency and being able to receive more. So you're coming into a time when the feminine energies, you know, I think it's important that the moon is here on this card because, and we've got the moon there and you've got the moon here, you got the moon all over this. Group 2, I think this is really about you have truly balanced out. A lot of you may have had more masculine oriented energy, more drive, fierceness, you know, leadership, authority, that may have been where you came from, your place of control, your place of self-awareness. And you have really come through this as a more enlightened and open being. And so you're moving into this place where you can have reciprocity with the universe. So more divine wisdom, tapping into your intuition and your place of knowing, your place of awareness. That's also very nurturing for others. You're going to be able to turn this into a way to help yourself and others in a way you really never dreamed of, I think. And that opportunity's coming in. You've found resourcefulness. And that's resourcefulness through the hardship. You know, you've gone through you've run the gauntlet with the horned cactus, and it has made you more resourceful. And you've also got this perseverance card. And if you look at that lightning bolt, as it cascades, just slams down from the universe through the clouds and strikes the earth, you have persevered, probably in a way that you thought you never could. That you thought that you just couldn't handle it anymore, that you just couldn't get through it anymore, but you have. You have, and you are ready for this opportunity that's coming forward for you to step into a place of your feminine energy that actually has an impact on yourself and the world. That's really amazing. You've done lots and lots of work, and you're about ready to see yourself in a whole new way. You're going to live your life in a whole different way from a place of that more feminine based energy, the nurturing, the compassion, the gentleness, and the vulnerability. And it's powerful. So let's look at the shadows that you are leaving behind, that are being released. Okay, so we have this card. This is the number 14. And we have this sigil, number 18. So I'm going to read from you. The sigil is from a book from a deck called The Blind Spot by Teal Swan. And it's a newer deck for me, but I thought these sigils would be really important. These cards are really more about sort of the stuff we don't want to see or the stuff we haven't wanted to deal with. And so it's why it's called the blind spot. But let me read a little bit. Number 18 is about avoidance. Okay. So it says, if you've drawn this sigil, you are avoiding something that feels too difficult to face. In a way, most psychological blind spots are a form of avoidance. But if you've drawn this sigil, your avoidance is more direct than using a specific strategy such as fear to avoid a specific thing. You are doing something and potentially all kinds of different things, specifically a strategy in order to avoid things. Your life is in avoidance mode. And this, what it talks about is that it's now time to stop avoiding whatever it is that you have been avoiding and admitting to it and face it directly until the situation is consciously brought to a place of resolution. Now, keep in mind, this is what you're releasing. So that doesn't mean that you're avoiding things. You probably spent a lot of your time avoiding things, whether it was avoiding pain, if it was avoiding getting too close to others, if it was an avoidance of facing something about yourself that you don't like, or something like that. You've been in a place of avoidance, and that's being released now. You having done the work and having been released. And it's just like this particular woman, when you look at her and you see everything, she's got all kinds of beautiful things. There's a writing quill, there's a statue, there's painting, there's creating with the divine. There, I can't tell what that, I have to look at music. It's musical notes. I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see in this card. And it's really, there's the masks of comedy and drama. And it's really about avoiding, she's got all of these things in her head, all of these creatively beautiful, artistic things in her head. But she's looking away from the mirror so she doesn't see them. And she also looks, you can see that she's kind of remembering. She's thinking back on stuff that she missed out on or stuff she never got to do. And this is reminding all of us that sometimes in life we don't pursue things because we felt guilty for it, or we were told not to and we don't want to disappoint someone else, or we were afraid of moving into creativity for the simple reason that it just didn't seem practical. We could, it's when you come up with 1,000 reasons for why you don't choose to pursue the thing that you love, the thing that you love the most. And so these two cards are really interrelated. It's about avoiding the things that truly bring you genuine happiness because you're afraid if you pursue them that it's going to make life hard, or it's going to make life difficult or overly challenging, and you're not up for it. You'd rather take the easy way out. And maybe some components of that have been in your life. Maybe all of those components have been in your life. But what this is saying is that this idea of not doing the thing that you love and avoiding things that truly would make you happy because you feel like it's impractical or you're afraid to pursue it or something like that, that time is over. Those shadow energies are going to be released as we go forward. Spirit, let's give us some more energy, some more information about these two cards. We have the High Priestess. And the Ace of Cups. And the Tower. So when I look at these, this is really about talking about that knowingness for those of you that have great intuition, or perhaps you're clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognizant, and you just haven't delved into it. You didn't want to. You use it, but you view it as just something that happens, but it's never become really a part of who you are. It's that knowingness and that inner wisdom that comes from embracing who you are and really doing what you love, being who you are and loving who you are. That's self-love. And divine intervention has come in. This tower is a little different than most. The lightning bolt is striking the tree and knocking it over. But what you notice is that nothing else around it is harmed, and there's still butterflies in there, transformation. So what happened is the lightning bolt just came in and sort of zapped you where you were. So if you feel like that, even in your spiritual journey, that there's been a little bit of hard knocks, like spirit maybe didn't treat you kindly, and I can attest to that, because I have had a guide that was just nasty to me sometimes to get me to change, and it hurt, and it was vile, and there were times when I was so angry and so traumatized that I didn't want to deal with it. But understanding too, from a place of knowing that that's what I agreed to before I incarnated, and that the whole thing was designed to get me to give up this not doing what I really love to do, or doing it in a way that I do what I do in a way that I really love to do it. So this is just saying that you're gonna release, you're in the process of releasing, if you haven't already done it, you're gonna release this notion and this idea that you can't do what you love, that you can't be who you are, that you can't experience life on your terms, because you can. And at the forefront of that is self-love. And with self-love, that helps with that inner knowingness and knowing that divine intervention has come in to sort of shake things up. And all of it was for your growth and your well-being, and for you to transform into that person who lives life in joy and happiness and the way that they were always meant to be. So Spirit's validating if you've had a rough go through this process. If you're still in avoidance, if you still know that you want to be a singer, that you always wanted to be a singer, or you always wanted to be an actor and you never did it because you can't make any money at it, or because you can't do this or this or this, Spirit is saying, go back and reevaluate that. Find what you joy. Maybe it isn't doing, maybe it isn't getting an agent and becoming an actor in Hollywood or becoming a professional singer, but maybe it's singing in a local band, or maybe it is acting at the local community theater, so that you can do what you love, that you can be inspired and joy. It's finding a way. Maybe it's not painting full time and having a massive exhibit in an art gallery, but maybe it's just painting what you love to paint and putting it on your own walls so that you can love and appreciate that creative energy. Every time we do what we love, every time we do that creative force, that is a positive energetic field, and it continues to build the energies in a much higher vibration, because we're loving it, because we're living in a place of love and joy and happiness. And that's what we all really need to do. And we haven't been reared in societies that support that for the last couple thousand years, but it's changing. We can change it. We change it one energetic vibration raising at a time, right? All right, let's talk about what you don't see coming. So what you don't see coming, the heart of the sky. Let's see if you can see that. Okay. Number 24, and Mirabai, the saint of true freedom. And this card says, love is what sets me free. I am married to my own soul. Now, if that doesn't confirm what we were just talking about, nothing does, right? And then the heart of the sky. The heart of the sky, this is very high priestess vibes, except this is a number 6 versus a number 2. But, 6 is 2 times 3, right? Working together. The high priestess working together with spirit. But the heart of the sky, this is about embracing the cosmos. And it's about that knowingness, being in that place of knowingness and opening freely to whatever gifts that you have and being in a space of love that perpetuates you forward. And knowing that the most important thing out of all of your incarnations with your soul, whether you've incarnated a handful of times or you've incarnated a million times on this earth or in many earths, it doesn't matter. But it's understanding that your soul, loving your life, loving yourself, loving what you do and how you are and the things that bring life, being in that abundant, joyful mindset, that is ultimately what sets you free. And it opens you up to more divine wisdom from the cosmos. I think it's really important that these 2 cards came out together. So there's a lot of folks in this group who have intuitive abilities. And this is spirit telling you for sure, it's the green light. Open up and receive. So make sure that you're opening up to the energies that are given to you from the universe via meditation, via quiet time, via staring at the starry sky, whatever it is. Opening yourself up. All right, let's look at who's helping you, an animal totem and a guide. So the first thing that we have is the druid holding space. And we have the horse. You always have a choice. Now, I believe there was a card under one of these that had a horse on it, right? Yes, it was the Knight of Wands, right? You always have a choice. And what do you see on this card again? Freedom, 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 freedom. With druids, druids, the whole thing about druidism is it's really about, it's about understanding the nature of God's divinity and the metaphysical are embodied in the earth and her building block elements. So if it meant looking at pixies or dwarves or fairies or the fae or the green man or the standing stones or different incarnations of goddess energy or the cauldron, all of this is really about holding space in the earth. You've got to hold space for yourself. And when we talk about holding space, that is another form of compassion, and it is validation. You must validate to yourself every day and hold in this space that you love yourself and that you have moments of joy and that you live in gratitude, and maintain presence. If you love being outside, then that's where a lot of your messages are going to come from. If you love the night sky, then that's when your messages are going to come from. If it's animals, that's where messages come from. But you're being given this overall message, group 2, that this is about your freedom. You are escaping the past, all of the drudgery of the past, where you held yourself back, and you're moving into a place of freedom. Moving forward in freedom. Freedom to be who you are, freedom to be where you want to be, freedom to do what you want to do, freedom to love it, enjoy it, just freedom to be. And that is such a super powerful thing. And it's not something that you want to take for granted. This is your abundance. This is the gratitude and abundance. This is reciprocity with the universe. Your ships are coming in. Right? That's what this is really about. Powerful. It's powerful stuff. You have come a long way, and you are moving forward in freedom. And this says you always have a choice. Freedom is a choice. Being happy is a choice. Yeah. All right, let's close out with some messages or advice and support from Spirit. All right, this is the 4 of Archangel Michael. It says insights that come from quiet meditation, the need for more sleep or time off, and seek relief from stress. So what this is saying is just don't forget that being stressed out and not getting enough sleep and not enough rest and not doing your meditation can trip all this up. To stay in your balance, to find that freedom, you need to continue to maintain those practices. We have service. This is the sacral chakra because it's orange. So this talks about being in service. Remember in this situation that service is beautiful. But if you notice in this, you know, these are the folks, this is a person who is at the end of life, and she's really between the worlds. There's the folks that have passed on and the folks who are here and present. And so this is reminding you that don't overgive. If you have been that person who overgave, and overgave, that's going to put you back in a place of stress and things like that. So remember, it's about reciprocity. Also understand that as you do for others, as you go out there and be in that spirit of gratitude and freedom, that actually provides a service to other people by helping them to resonate with that energy, that vibration of freedom and love and compassion. And as you're out, it's not that you're giving it to other people, is that you're embodying who you are. And as you do that, that changes the world one person at a time. Everyone who comes into contact with you is going to feel that resonance, and they're going to want to feel that too. They're going to want to resonate and vibrate at that same frequency. And they're going to learn that that's where freedom is. And for those of you, again, that are really working with intuition or mediumship, psychic abilities, this is really a confirmation that those abilities will help you provide a service to the world. So if you've been resisting that, it's time to join in and allow it to happen. All right, we have this card. This is the card of being counted. Stand up and be counted, okay? So embrace yourself, be abundant, be counted, be in that place of being you, being who you are and being free. Because the more people that experience your freedom, the more people that experience your vibration and your abundant nature, your abundant, the emanations of your abundant spirit, the more you're going to impact them and the world. That's what ultimately changes the world. We have the 4th temple, enlightenment. You're going to continue to receive enlightenment. That's the card number 19, which is a 10, which is a new cycle starting over. So more information is coming in, and your guides are going to continue to help you move forward into this process. And finally, you have a sensitive, let me see if I can do that over there. There we go. You have a sensitive antenna. Sensitive people collect emotions of others. So this is talking about those of us that are empaths, just remembering that when you're sensitive and you are experiencing information, make sure that you are grounding and that you're setting energetic boundaries. Share your energy of freedom, but don't necessarily collect all the other low vibrational juju, because if you do, that's just going to bring you down again. Okay? So make sure that you stay in balance. And remember, this whole reading is really about that, staying in balance. So group 2, this has just been an amazing reading. I've enjoyed reading this. There's a lot of beautiful stuff coming in for lots and lots and lots of people. And I hope that you found meaning in this and that you found some messages that resonate with you that'll help you keep going, keep persevering. I want to thank you so very much for subscribing to the channel and for liking the video. For those of you that haven't done that, if you did enjoy the message, please just hit the thumbs up. It just helps the algorithm get the more plays out there for people to see. It puts it in the queue so that people can become aware. I look forward to seeing you again, and I apologize for the lighting situation, and I will get that rectified again. But I look forward to seeing you again soon for the next month, and enjoy this beautiful autumn time. It is a beautiful time of movement forward. It is a beautiful time of the ancestors connecting as we move toward Halloween, Samhain, All Hallows. The veil becomes thinner between the worlds, and that's where we really connect and prepare for the next phase of growth. So I wish you a beautiful autumn time, and take care so much, and thank you. Bye-bye. Hey, group 3, this is your reading for the equinox called Entering the Mystical Season. So the first thing that we're going to pull is we're going to pull a theme of the reading, and then we're going to look at the energies that are influencing the season and how they create balance. So we'll look at the place of earth, the place of air, the place of fire, and the place of water. Then we're going to look at what you're harvesting in your life with this season, since the autumn season is really about harvest. And we're going to look at the shadow energies that are being released, what you don't see coming, and we're going to look at who's helping you, both an animal totem and any type of guide that wants to step in. And finally, we'll finish up with messages of advice and support. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work with the Alchemy Oracle. And let's find what the theme of your reading is. Now, what's interesting is that group 1 and 2, the same card came out for both of them. All right, I'm gonna pull it off the top here. Okay, so you got a different one. So with you, we have Estes, or summer. Okay, so let's just put that one, let's make sure we can see it right there. Okay, now I love this card. I mean, it's a tree. What's not to love about trees, right? But what's really cool is up here in the tree. When I see this, I always think of little birds. And so it's like the bigger picture, but what's going on, focusing in on what's going on inside the bigger picture. So this is really about growing, understanding the little bits that have gone into growing the bigger picture for you, right? And it's about bringing things to life, maybe stuff that's been percolating there for a bit. All right, so I've already pre-shuffled the other oracle cards. So let me just sort of organize them for a second. All right, so the first thing that we're going to look at with after this theme of the reading, so we're looking kind of at narrowing in, being able to see the big picture, and then narrowing in on the details as part of your growth process. And this is really, I think, about stuff that you've learned, especially since it's referring to summer, since we're just pulling our way out of summer, and this is the autumn equinox, so we're literally ending summer. So the transition of the seasons. Let's look at now what energies are going to influence the upcoming autumn season and how this is going to help you create balance. So the first thing that we have in the place of earth is we have Gaia, the nurturing card. That's really good. I'm going to move your I'm gonna move your tarot cards out of the way so we have some room there. So we have Gaia, the nurturing card. I love that card. I think that card is so beautiful. It's just wonderful. I mean, it's like a beautiful depiction of the Earth Mother. And then in the place of air, we have adapt to a new situation. So that's important as well. And then in the place of fire, we have listening to wisdom. And then in the place of water, we have blessings, okay? Sorry, I'm futzing with the cards there. Okay, all right. Okay, so when just looking at these, I mean, these are some really beautiful things coming in. Obviously, this is a time of, sorry about that, I knocked the camera. Last 2 days, I've been like a bull in a china shop. With these, you have some really wonderful stuff coming in, and I think it's stuff that you've probably been waiting on, that you've been hoping for and waiting on. And what Spirit is really letting you know is that through this transitional period, finally moving into the blessings that you've been looking for, or the wishes and dreams that you've been hoping would come in, they're just reminding you that they're here to nurture you. They're going to help nurture the situation along the way, but you still need to listen to wisdom. You still need to stay aware and in balance between thought and emotion. And then also understand that this is going to require some adaptation, that whatever this new situation is, and I mean, I see 2 people here, and I also see 2 flamingos. So you could be looking at some type of a partnership, whether it's romantic or it is a work-related thing or just a new friendship, a business partnership, whatever. There's a part of you, oh, I love this. I just noticed this. Do you see here? I don't know if you can see down here with she's wearing a necklace that looks like an anchor with a heart. And that's really a reminder to find balance between your earthly self and between your spirit self, right? And to continue to stay grounded, even though you may be moving into the higher realms of intuitive abilities or even just emotion. You may be in heightened emotions. But with this, understanding as you move forward, this is a divinely guided situation, right? You're moving into something that you've really been waiting for, but you need to understand that it's also something that's part of destiny, something that was part of your soul contract when you incarnated here. So that's something powerful and big that you've really been waiting for. But you still have to maintain balance between the emotions and excitement versus being wise about your choices and choosing to remain grounded as well. So balance between the earthly self and the spirit self. And they're going to be there. I think with both of these 2 cards, they're going to be there whispering in your ear and helping to guide this forward. I love this one because you can see that Gaia, the Earth Mother, or Pachamama, if you want to refer to her that way, she's breathing life into this beautiful, fertile valley. She's creating life. So this is the new beginning. It's really here, guys. And this is a moment of growth and exploration and finding, just kind of finding the new you in your new existence, whatever that is. But you still have to kind of keep in balance between the mental self and the grounded self and between the emotional self. So all four energies have to stay in balance for you with this. let's look at what you're going to be harvesting with, since all of this is coming in. What are you going to be harvesting in the new cycle? And we have, all right, there's worry, the unmarked trail or revelation, and we have change. Okay, so with this, they're reminding you that what you're moving forward into isn't something you've done before. This is a new experience, okay? This is a new, it is an unmarked trail. And it's going to be revealed to you as you do it. It's not going to be something where you know in advance. So that means you're changing the way typically that you have to do stuff. I know for most of us, we're used to being able to plan or think things through or make choices and decisions. And basically they're saying, not this time. You're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to trust that it's going to be revealed as you go, and you can't predict it and you can't control it, and you shouldn't. Because if you try to predict and control, what you're going to end up with is being in a worried state. And if you're in a worried state, then you're absolutely changing the energy. You're taking the balance out of it. So letting worry in is not going to be a thing. So you're going to have to become very comfortable with allowing the universe to reveal this to you in a very natural and very and unplanned kind of way. Even though spiritually this has been planned clearly in your world, guys. I mean, this is, whatever this is something that you agreed to when you took the incarnation contract to come in this lifetime. But this is teaching you, again, that you can't control it. And it's going to be really different. Letting go and letting the universe is always a very difficult thing to do. But this is going to be where you put all these soul lessons you've been working on over the past months and years. This is where you're going to put it all on the table. You're going to put it to the test. And it's about just letting it being revealed, staying in the present moment. If we get out of the present moment and we start fixating on what happened in the past or what is going to happen in the future, then we move into worry, and that is not for us. We have to change all of that, and it's really about going with the flow and allowing this unmarked trail to just be revealed to us one step at a time. All right, let's look at some tarot. Spirits, what do we have? Some more information on this unmarked trail. All right, the first thing we have is the Holly King. So the Holly King in this deck is the Hermit. What else do we have? We have the Knight of Athens, which is the Knight of Swords. We have the Eight of Chalices, which is the Eight of Cups. And we have the Battle Wagon, which is the Chariot. Let's get one more. And we have the Five of Chalices, or the Five of Cups. All right, as I'm looking at these, this is basically just showing us that all of this time of introspection, this time of spirit dwelling and internal focus, contemplation, all of that has been, it has felt wintry and it's felt isolated, trying to find the wisdom, but the wisdom is just going to suddenly surge forward. The knowing, your knowingness, your wisdom is going to suddenly surge forward and start to move, and you can't predict it. And it's going to move you on. Now, normally the Eight of Cups is really about walking away from something. But in this one, I like this because this character reminds me a little bit of Gandalf, right? But he's contemplating stuff because all he's doing is he's moving forward, right? He's moving forward. And it's going to suddenly surge in, and the next thing you're going to realize is that you've moved forward, and then it's going to really speed up. It's going to really, really speed up, and you're going to suddenly start to charge forward, and all of that lack that you felt in the past is going to be gone. It's all going to be gone. And I love this particular Five of Cups. It's different than most, because if you look at it, yeah, the cups are being spilled out, but in her basket, she's got the 3 cups working together. So she's personally dumping 2. She's dumping the baggage, right? She's dumping her emotional baggage, and she's got all these beautiful berries, and she's got this lovely trail ahead, and she's got her little furry friends with her. But in her basket that she's taking with her luggage and the baggage, there are the 3 cups. And all she's doing, she's purposefully dumping those last 2. So this is about, as you move forward and get into this much faster pace of manifesting this path, whatever this unmarked trail is, you're going to choose to let go of the emotional baggage that's been holding you back and just surge forward with the 3 of Cups. And why the 3 of Cups are important? Because that's community. That's your spiritual community, your family, could be family, soul family, could be your best group of, your BFFs. You're going to surge forward with the cups that really matter in your life and just dump the emotional baggage from the stuff that doesn't. And that's a really wonderful thing. And as you do this, as all of this is really truly speeding up, it's going to kind of take you by surprise. Like it's suddenly, you're going to get a surge, and then it's going to feel like it levels a little bit, and you're just meandering along. And the next thing you know, you're going to be, holy cow, it's taken off. And you're just going to start flying forward. And it's all because you chose to dump the emotional baggage and leave it behind and take your community and move forward. And it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful and strong. This is a message of in some ways, self-determination. You were determined to embrace that change that we had here in the balloon, and to let go of this worry and this emotional detriment, and just to move forward into the unmarked territory. So as you're moving forward, there's some shadow energies that need to be released. And let's look at these. So the first one of these is the card number 6. So I'm just going to lay that right there. Actually, I think I'm going to put it right here. Okay. And then the next one is from the Blind Spot Oracle by Teal Swan. And so this is a sigil, and for these, it's a newer deck. I'm going to have to read what that really means, but let's just see what we're leaving behind. Now, when I look at this particular card, this is kind of, it's sort of the dream state, if you want to look at it. And it's there's all these beautiful things that are dreamy and emotional and that kind of thing. But when I see that, and the reason it's leaving behind is because you're about to take all of these dreams and this beautiful, this happiness that you've wanted, this joy, this lifestyle, this community or relationship, whatever it is that you've really been dreaming about, you're leaving it behind because you're manifesting it into reality, right? Into the 3-4D out of the 5D. So that's really important. Now let's look at this blind spot sigil. This is the number 20. And these are really, they're really designed to point out sort of negative emotions that we have, right? So just bear with me on this one. So what it says is, you don't know, but you think you know. So you're leaving behind the guessing, the second guessing stuff, and you're going to move forward in more confidence. But let's see what this says. It says, if you've drawn this sigil, then you think you know everything in a circumstance, but actually you do not know everything, and a critical piece of information is missing. Consider that this piece of information or awareness might be something that no one sees yet, or it might be a piece of information being provided already by someone from the outside that is being rejected. So it says, the desire to be the one who knows is not in and of itself negative, but there is a shadow side to the quest for knowledge. The shadow side is that knowledge is often used by the ego as a security blanket. So I think that's a really important thing. So really what you're leaving behind is the dream state for action, for doing, for manifesting, for being. You're also leaving behind just the sake of knowledge for knowledge and learning it so that you feel safe and secure. So this really is about moving forward in confidence with yourself and not just clinging to the, what you think you know that tells you everything. And that sounds like it's a counterintuitive thing to say, but bear with me on this. When we're in the act of learning things, and whether that's formal education that earns you a diploma or degrees or a certificate or something like that, or whether it's life skills and learning from the school of hard knocks, a lot of times what we know, if someone is learning from the school of hard knocks, and maybe they've had bouts of where they had financial insecurity, or they've had they've had lifestyle insecurity, meaning they might not have had adequate food, or they might not have had adequate housing, or even the opportunity to do some of the things that they choose to do. A lot of times what the street cred is what you'll hear anybody that's been on the streets tell you, that it's the street cred that saved them, because you have to learn really fast because that's your safety zone. Learn the rules quickly so that you can protect yourself and that you can be safe. And what this is saying is that the downside of learning knowledge, period, in life, whether that's academic knowledge, spiritual knowledge, life knowledge, is that we hold on the fact that we have the information, that we allow the actual having of that information to create a security blanket around us. And what Spirit is basically saying is that it's time to understand that knowledge is helpful and it's a tool, but your confidence has to come from within your soul. Your confidence is a part of your spiritual self, of your energetic self, and you being confident even when you don't know, and moving forward. And that sort of supports where this process is going here, with this sudden movement forward and leaving the emotional stuff and moving into this unmarked territory. As like you're going somewhere that you don't have knowledge. Now is time to be confident in yourself and trust in Spirit and understand that you're moving forward. So group 3, you're basically being advised that you're really in a phase where you're going to have to trust your gut, and you're going to have to trust Spirit to lead you, because you can't predict what's about to happen. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, yes, it's a little bit of a spiritual challenge, but at the same time, it also is giving you an opportunity to truly experience the magic of the universe and the manifestation of the universe, and to watch destiny and fate play out right in front of you. And of course, going forward with that, being in the energy of acceptance, being in the energy of going with the flow, is going to help this process, because you can't control the outcome on this one. And no matter what you can't control the outcome on this, and you can't control how it's going to play out to get you to where you're supposed to be. But understand, I'm not saying that because Spirit's not saying that because it's meant to make you worried or threatening. No, we don't want you in a state of worry. What this is it's about trusting the universe to lead you where you need to be, by being in the present, by being confident in yourself, by knowing who you are and why you are, and that you are. And you are amazing. So understanding that. Let's look at what you don't see coming over this course of months of autumn. So the first thing that we have Sarada Devi, the Divine Mother. Unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. That's really beautiful. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put that right there. And then we also have stand still. Now, when I look at this standstill, now we've already seen here that you're moving forward. And I think standstill is referring to this sort of 8 of Cups situation where you've got a surge and then it levels out a little bit before it starts to just chug forward like the Chariot. And I think what this is saying is that in those little moments, when you have little standstill moments where you're not, you know, you're kind of waiting for the next thing to happen, this is the opportunity to realize that this is where the more enlightenment's going to come in. And this is really looking at, I see this as a gateway to the universe. And with Sarada Devi, this is, it's really understanding that you are beloved of the universe and the Creator. You also need to have unconditional love for yourself so that you don't judge yourself. And don't look at it when you start with the surge and then it levels out a little bit and then it starts to move forward in this sort of place that feels like a standstill in the middle. Don't immediately start judging yourself or chastising yourself because you think you've lost momentum. You haven't lost momentum. Great things are going to happen in the standstill. A lot of time, this is kind of like, I'm trying to think of a really good example. This is like when it's like when a small child is learning to walk. And the first thing that they do when they stand, they stand up. And then it seems like that they have these 3 or 4 crazy little steps they take where it looks like they're almost falling and, they're almost falling forward, right? But they're taking these little steps and everyone gets excited because the kid's taking these little steps. Well, that's really something called automatic stepping. And it's something that's just kind of built in. It's a reflexive pattern that's built into the nervous system. But in that, what it does is it gives the child an opportunity to go for it and to experience what it's like to be up on 2 legs versus crawling on all 4s. And it also allows the body, when they keep standing up and trying that, even though it's not controlled walking like we think of regular walking, what it's allowing the body to do is just in those moments of uprightness is that they're actually learning timing skills with the muscle and they're getting stronger against gravity and that kind of thing, so that even though they're kind of being propelled forward, it's actually teaching them how to work against gravity and develop control. So even though it looks like it's craziness and they have these little stop and start spurts where they'll do that and then they fall on their tushy and everybody's, you're like, oh, every time the little kid falls on their tush when they lose control. Even the landing on the tush is teaching the body something. It's teaching the back how to remain controlled. It's teaching the muscles on the top of the legs how to control and lower the body down against gravity. Sorry, I'm giving you all this scientific stuff as an example. It's just what came in. But it's kind of like that, is understanding that just when you can't automatically jump into this worry behavior that, oops, stuff doesn't feel like it's moving forward. I am having a setback. You're not having a setback. You're just in this spot where the universe is teaching you something about yourself and about the nature of your quest. So just keep that in mind and understand that don't judge yourself. Just love yourself unconditionally and realize that this path forward is going to have surges in energy and surges in movement forward. And then it's going to have little places where it slows down and it feels like it might even be coming to a standstill. And then it's going to surge forward again, because every time you learn something new, it's going to empower you to have more information so that you can go flying forward. All right, let's take a look. Let's get a few more tarot cards and let's see if we can figure this out. Spirit, tell us a little bit more about this standstill and this unconditional love and the absence of judgment. So we have the standing stones. Okay. So the standing stone in this deck is temperance. You see the scales are balanced on there with the triskels, and then there's a labyrinth. But I love the fact that the labyrinth is on there. You know, daisies are about happiness and growth. But when you see this labyrinth, that's the quest. That's the spiritual quest. And that there's balance. And the quest moves forward as we have that balance. So sometimes these little standstills are going to happen just so that you can rebalance your energy fields. You can rebalance the elements within you. What else, Spirit? What else do we have? Oh, wow. 10 of Pentacles. All of this, Spirit wants you to understand that all of this is leading you toward this beautiful, long-term, stable happiness, the 10 of Pentacles. Let me pull that up. There's a little bit of a glare there, but let's see. You know, that's like the ultimate happiness card to a lot of folks. The 10 of Cups is emotional happiness, but this is the real deal. This is the long-term, stable happiness. So I think that's awesome. Just you're rebalancing yourself. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look at who's helping you. So we have an animal totem. Tatanka, the great buffalo, abundance. You are provided for in all ways. That's going to take front and center. That's a mega powerful card. And then we also have, oh, wow. Group 3. There's some power here. You have the eagle. Walk on, Tonka. The eagle is really about, you know, the eagle is the one who communicates with God. And the eagle sees everything. When we talk about a bird's eye view, the eagle has some of the most powerful visual capabilities of any being on this planet. Because even from miles up, it can see the smallest thing. It can spot prey. It can spot anything from so high up. So this is about seeing the big picture and understanding that your abundance is already there. You already have the abundance, and knowing it, realizing that you lack for nothing. I know that's a hard thing to deal with. I struggle with that myself, about understanding how to be in abundance, and how that brings abundance. It's this idea of manifesting reciprocity is a little confusing for a lot of folks, for good reason. It's very different. It's the antithesis of what we're really taught, right? And yeah, it's really beautiful. These two things. You're being watched, and you're being guided, and you're being protected, and you have everything that you need on this unmarked path ahead. So it really is about trusting. You've done the work, Group 3. You really have done the work. It's about trusting that you've done the work, and that you've learned what you need to learn, and that you have what you need, and you're being protected. Sorry, I'm going to wiggle the light just a little bit and see if that makes it a little bit easier to see. Finally, we have messages from Spirit, and these are for advice and support. The first thing that we have, Spirit's coming through. Let go of a fixed plan. Allow for spontaneity and growth. I'm going to put that right dead center. We have the heart. Love yourself. Love all things. Live in love. We have the elves and playfulness. Have fun. Be playful. Enjoy life. We have growth. You've done lots of growth. More is to come, but the growth that's coming now is a little more subtle than what you did before. And finally, we have the Six of Raphael, which is the Six of Cups. Embrace your inner child, new friends or rekindled relationships, children or childhood. So this is more happiness. It just goes to show that you have a beautiful path ahead. Even though you don't know it and you don't know how it's going to happen, you do. All right, group 3, I'm going to pull out a few charms for you to have just to kind of give you some more messages. Let's see what we have. Oh, we have this beautiful flower, a tulip. Tulips are usually associated with spring. So the way I see it is that there's great growth coming between now and spring. You have the sun. Let's see if you can see that. So happiness is shining on you. Ah, my beloved tree of life. There you go, Yggdrasil, the tree of life. Yeah, this is a time of growth. It's more growth, but it's expansive growth. Your spiritual growth is what's expand. You've gone through a lot of emotional growth and sort of energetic growth as it relates to being a 3D being in a 4 or 5D spiritual type of existence. But now this is where the 5D expands, guys. This is where your spirituality expands. We have the beautiful moon here. And this says, I love you to the moon and back. Spirit's just reminding you that they are with you. We'll put that on Raphael, or the Six of Raphael. And then finally, this is a little birdie on a tree, little birdie on a limb. So you're going to continue to get messages from the universe and from your guides as you go along the way. Pay attention to birds. They will whisper little messages to you if you allow them. You have the eagle, of course. You have this little bird. You have a little bird here. I think there's another card that's got a bird on it somewhere too. So just be aware of it and realize that buffalo energy and eagle energy is really with you for this next phase. Group 3, I hope you found these messages helpful. I appreciate and am so grateful for those of you that have subscribed to the channel and that like the videos. If the message resonates with you, please give it a thumbs up. It just helps move it into the algorithm so that it becomes an offer for more people to see. And I so appreciate you guys and your perseverance with me as I'm going through transitions and all of this stuff as well, just like you are. None of us are even those of us that have psychic abilities and can read cards and things like that, we're still going through this same spiritual learning curve too. It never changes, right? It never ends. It's something we all go through. So I appreciate you guys being patient as I go through learning to master this lighting and the camera stuff and all of this jazz. I'm obviously still working with it, but thank you so much for your perseverance with me and for tuning in. I really, truly appreciate it and wish you joy and happiness through this beautiful mystical season of autumn. I can't wait to hear from you how you're moving forward. So thank you so very much. Bye-bye. Hey, group 4, welcome back into your reading. You selected the blue tiger's eye as your stone and the Gilded Tarot Royale as your deck. So we're going to be looking at picking a theme of your reading, and then we're going to look at the energies influencing this coming up season of autumn, and how it's going to create balance for you. And through that, we'll look at the place of earth, the place of air, the place of fire, and the place of water within your own energy fields. Then we're going to look at what you're harvesting in your life. We'll look at the shadow energies that are going to be released through this season. We're going to look at what you don't see coming in for you. And we're going to look at who's helping you, both an animal totem and a guide. And finally, we're going to get some messages of advice and support from your spirit team. So to start out with, let's pick a card from the Alchemy Oracle. Interestingly enough, group 1 and 2 got the same card, which was interesting. All right, so here we go. Let's pull one of these. I'm just gonna split the deck and then we'll, oops, that was interesting. All right, we'll take it from the top. No, they're telling me to split it one more time. All right. Now we take it from the top. All right. You guys got Quicksilver. That's cool. Argentum vivum. So Quicksilver is just another word for Mercury, in the event that you don't know that. And the reason it got the name Quicksilver is because if you've never seen mercury pour, like in the old days, pouring mercury onto things was a common thing, and that's before we realized it was quite deadly as a substance, and maybe it wasn't a cool thing to do. So if you're younger, you probably have never seen mercury at work, but when you would pour mercury, it's got this beautiful, thick, rich silver, pewtery silver color, but it would move, and it moved differently than actual molten silver did. And so that's how it kind of got its name of Quicksilver. The thing with Mercury is that, yes, it's associated with the planet of Mercury because of the speed piece. And that's how it got its elemental name. But Quicksilver is also this idea that things are speeding up and moving rapidly. So I'm curious to see what's coming in for you guys in this reading. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we have, now that we've got the theme of the reading, is that things are speeding up for you. Let's look at those energies that are influencing this autumn season for you to help you create balance. So for the place of earth, we have ancestors and generations, okay? We have in the place of air, oh, wow. The number 34, start anew, begin again. I've never pulled that card out of this deck. That's really beautiful. Wow, that blue is amazing. I'm sure the camera doesn't show it the way I see it in real life, but I mean, and it happens to be right in front of this Angel Aura Quartz point that I have here, and it's, wow, it's amazing, and that's a beautiful card. Start anew, begin again. I like that. All right, for the place of fire, we have strength and resilience. Can't go wrong with that. Finally, from the place of water, the future. Wow, yeah, your reading is definitely a little different than the others. So stuff is moving forward quickly. So when I look at all of these, I mean, it's very clear that you're moving quickly to this new beginning. This is a totally new phase for you. It's not an extenuation of the life that you've had. It's a whole new life. The future is a whole new life. And, there's beautiful overtones in terms of fish and, dolphins, fish. And ironically, look, she's holding the earth, but she's holding, sort of a bubble or a crystal ball. So these cards, and they're both mermaids. This card's very beautiful. So this is definitely an emotional new beginning, but I think it's going to have implications for the earth as a whole. So you may be getting ready to enter into a completely new aspect of your life where what you're doing or what you're going to do is really going to make a difference on the earth. And with these two cards here, and I'm struck also as I look at the color tones, you get these beautiful vibrant blues on this side, and this is the same way I've laid them down in all the readings, so I didn't deliberately do it differently. And you got these beautiful goldens here. With, the generations is that this whole new path is going to, it's going to usher in a time of similar to the ancient past, not recent past, not in the last 5,000 years. This is going to be beyond that. But it's really bringing in the era that the ancestors really talked about, the time of the future, the Aquarian future. And I love this because you've been through the building blocks of learning and doing things. You know, the snake here represents wisdom and genetics throughout the history. You've been through all of that, and that has created strength and resilience within you as an individual. But now you're moving into the future that's totally different. So all of this stuff taught you how to be a stronger, more resilient person. And now you're moving forward into something that is exceptionally powerful and very different than anything that you could have considered. Wow, that's really, really, really amazing. Let's see what you're harvesting in this new point in time. We have success. That's never a bad thing. I think I'm going to put that one over here. The covenant is sacred contract. Yeah, things are going to be very different for you, group 4. I'm going to move your tarot cards out of the way just so I have room for these cards. The sacred covenant, and then finally we have trust. So Spirit's really reminding you that this is a sacred contract. It's something that you agreed to. And I think most of us, if you listen to tarot or if you're curious into metaphysical beginning things or spiritual things, that you just accept that as being something that happens. But it's talking about that this is about to make you successful. I love on this success card too. Look at all the light coming out of the crown chakra. This is bigger. This isn't just like when we think of success about, oh, I'm going to be successful at my job, or I'm going to be successful with, you know, whatever, my creativity or something. This is talking about the success of the world, bringing the new world to fruition. And I am not trying to be political. I'm just giving you the information as they give it to me. But this is about a new way of being for humanity and a new way of existing. It's about the future. It's ushering in the future. And so, and it's something that was contracted. And this is where we have to trust the process, that it's going to happen, and everything's going to work out exactly in a beautiful way. Spirit, let's get some tarot. Can you give me some tarot to kind of talk us through this? The first thing is we have the Emperor. So this is about leadership. What else? Oops, that one came flying out. What do we got there? And here we have the Eight of Swords. What else? We have the Queen of Swords. They're telling me she should go right here. What else? The Wheel. Yeah. And that should go right there on top of that contract, the covenant. Yeah, powerful time. So this is truly about this divinely timed moment where things change and leadership comes in, and you're going to be asked to provide leadership in some way or another, whether that's leadership for your family, your group of friends, your place of business or work, your profession, or something much larger. Now's the time. And we're moving when from this time of when we were too afraid to see what it meant. We were too afraid. See, I think what I'm getting here is I think many of you knew in your soul, knew in your heart of hearts that you were supposed to do something bigger than what you do now. But you didn't want to see it because it felt like it was too stressful, or it was too much, or it was too big a burden, or just too difficult to handle. And now you've had, through all of this time period and moving forward, now you've had this real breakthrough in wisdom that the Queen of Swords provides. You know, she brings in, some people tell you the Queen of Swords kind of cuts through the crap, right? And she does. And it's about cutting through the things that made us afraid, you know, these stuff that we've been told. Every one of these swords represents some limiting belief that we've either been told, or that we've gleaned from society in some way, or that we've just told ourselves. And the Queen of Swords comes in and says, it's time to cut the crap. We need to direct these swords here. Success comes with getting out of the swords, just ripping the blindfold off, getting out of the swords. This is where we need these swords to become rays of light for this future, for this living anew, whatever this new beginning is. And on this side, the ancestral information created, the generations have created strength and resilience to create what you needed to be a leader. And now divine timing, destiny, fate is coming in with this covenant contract. And over all of it, Spirit in the center here is just saying, hey, trust what's going on. Just trust it, go with it. Just go with it, right? Let's now look at what shadows are being released. So the first card we have here from the Oracle of Visions is the number 2 card. So I'm going to put, where do they want? They want it here, right here in the center. Okay. And then this is a sigil from the Blind Spot Oracle by Teal Swan. And this is the sigil number 55. So let's see what's being released. When I look at this card from the Oracle of Visions, you see, if you look at her, you see how she's very much dressed in sort of the era of the Italian Renaissance and or the time of the Bourbon kings of France, with the finery and the beautiful wig and the beautiful birds. But what you see is that is part of her costuming. She's wearing a beak. She's pretending to be one of the flock, to be one of the birds. She's pretending to be just another bird. But when that artifice comes off, when you take the mask off, she's very different than the other birds around that are surrounded by her, or that are surrounding her. So this is Spirit's way, coming back to this 8 of Swords and saying, when you take the mask off, you are different. Whether you wanted to be different or not, you are different. You're not like, even though birds of a feather flock together, you are different than that. And it's time to move forward and do things differently, and understand that you're moving into an era where you need to take the mask off. And understand that you are different. But you're different for a reason, because of this, the covenant, the sacred contract, and because of the wheel. And your confidence and your power is, and your wisdom. See, you see birds everywhere. Angels and birds here. There's birds. There's birds. Birds bring wisdom. You've learned a lot. And while you want to fit in and be like everybody else, the reality is that you're not like everybody else. So when we look at this, and this is the sigil, it says not seeing the signs. If you've drawn the sigil, you need to be aware that signs are everywhere. In this situation, you are not looking for them, are ignoring them, or have no awareness of them when they occur. Have you ever experienced a time in your life when every time you looked up at a clock, the time was 5:55? Have you ever had deja vu? Have you ever heard the same message from a number of people? Have you ever been in the middle of a breakup when suddenly a song comes on the radio, the lyrics of which are uncanny match to the circumstance and seem to somehow act as confirmation? Have you ever had recurring experiences or seen the same person over and over again? Have you ever kept breaking or losing the same thing over and over? Have you ever had strange interactions with animals, so especially significant or an especially significant or repetitive dream, or wondered if a health treatment would be a good idea for you? And then the next day received a discount or special offer for that very treatment. There are times when we wrongly interpret things to the universe or in the universe to reinforce our belief in whatever we want to believe. There are times when we use signs to reinforce our superstitions because we need to feel a sense of surety, which allows us to feel control over our life in order to prevent pain. You need to be aware of these tendencies within yourself. But this sigil is coming to help you to become aware of the plethora of signs that you are being given at this time. Now is not a time to doubt them. Now is a time to really listen to them and to be clear about how to interpret them if their meaning is not immediately obvious. If you've drawn this sigil, know that the universe at large is always giving you guidance, always trying to help you. It's your choice whether or not to recognize and accept that guidance. At this time, when you feel like something is a sign, chances are very high that you should trust it. Some of these signs are red flags warning you. Others are white flags showing you the right way to go. Stop believing that things are just coincidence and find meaning in every word, occurrence, dream, color, animal, number, or synchronicity. The more you pay attention to those signs, the more you will benefit. I don't think I need to even have commentary on that. That's pretty significant for all of this. So, you know, in the last readings, I took more tarot to really talk about that stuff, but I don't think we even need to. You are a special, unique being. You're being given signs and synchronicities for a reason. Trust it. Believe it. All right, let's just go ahead and look at what you don't see coming. The first thing that you don't see coming is the goddess of devotion, Parvati. It says, I am a love that doesn't leave. When I commit to love, my soul evolves. And completion, the Ouroboros. Number 9. So something loving is coming in for you. And whether that is another person or it is a passion that you find that you just absolutely adore, or if it's a new skill or a new ability that comes in, whatever it is ready to come in as the cycle you're in now completes. So if you've got signs and synchronicities, you're going to know what's coming in for you, that you're absolutely going to love, whether that is a person, a place, a thing, an action, an experience, a practice. It doesn't matter. It's coming in for you. And with it, That the cycle that you're in completes, and that's what starts you, moves you into this whole new world anew that's going to not only change you, but it's going to change everything around you. I think let's get a couple of tarot cards on this and see. You know, group 4, you guys are a powerful group of folks here. We have the Knight of Wands, something moving in fast. And we have the Nine of Wands, something end coming to a close. So, yep, it's just reinforcement of these things. Something coming in fast and a cycle closing. You have persevered. You've had strength. You know, they call this guy the wounded warrior because he's just persevered like nobody's business, and you have. And so the synchronicities are bringing in the blessings for you, group 4. This is a very prophetic reading if you haven't figured that out just yet. I'm dumbfounded at the prophetic nature of this reading. I hope that you sense it too. It's extraordinarily powerful. Who's helping you? Your animal totem for this time. Oh my goodness, guys. Spirit they just don't lie. The dolphin. Playfulness, take time to play. And you have dolphins and dolphins there. I'm going to put it right there. We have the broken arrow. Embrace the energy of peace. Yep, that cycle closure is bringing you peace, guys. We also have the White Witch, be the light. And there's another beautiful owl. I love this owl because the owl is also wearing the horns of the white stag, or Cernunnos, the horned god. This is divine wisdom. So be the light. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think, is that a salamander? I think that's a salamander there too. Salamanders are, you know, they play in the fire, right? That's the fire of energy. So this really has all the elements there, the elements of creation. Wow. That's pretty amazing. All right, let's get some messages from Spirit to close out your reading. You deserve good things. Keep your focus on what you want. Truth. Believe it. If you keep telling yourself, no, I don't believe it, guess what? All of this is the truth. The Aspen Spirit, courage. They're telling you to have courage and believe in the truth. That castles really do come. Look, all the butterflies of transformation in the autumn forest, in the aspens. There's this beautiful cap. The castles, it's number 3. The magic is transpiring in autumn. We have gratitude. Stay in the place of gratitude. And we have the 9 of Michael. Your worry is unnecessary. Focus your thoughts on the outcome you desire. Release feelings of regret, guilt, or worry to your angels. The 9 of Michaels would be comparable to the 9 of Swords. But the Archangel is telling you worry's unnecessary. It's all coming in. Believe it and trust it. I'm going to shift this just a hair. It's not quite straight, but all right. I'm pulling some, for final messages, I'm pulling a few charms for you guys. Let's just see what we get. Oh, wow. Let's see. Let me put those right there. This is a couple dancing. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Not sure. Let me see what the back looks like. Oh, it's it's actually a bride and groom. So hint at some form of commitment, or whether that's with the person or not. For some of you, that could be that your true love is coming in. There's also this beautiful purple crescent moon, sparkly crescent moon. And when I see that, I think that goes back to, don't forget to stay with your feminine intuition. And that's not gender, that's energy. Everybody has that intuition. So make sure that you, oh my goodness, here's another moon, guys. Yeah, your intuition is really important. The cosmos. I love this one because both of these remind me of this card, the cosmos. This is just saying, use your intuition, trust your intuitive hits, trust your psychic abilities, trust the information that's coming into you from the divine, because it's there for guidance and you just need to pay attention to it. There is this beautiful key with the heart in it. Let's see if you can see it. The key to happiness, I guess. The key to fulfillment. And then finally we have the wolf, the howling wolf. And in this situation, well, I mean, wolves happen to be my personal totem, and so I'm very fond of them. But in this situation, this is what's saying is that you don't have to be the lone wolf anymore. They're telling me to get you one more. They say, your wishes are coming true. Wish upon a star. You know, group 4, this is a pretty amazing reading. Like I said, this one feels very prophetic, actually. And I hope that energy comes through as you're watching the reading and listening to it. It's very prophetic. I wish you great blessings and joy as you move forward into the autumn. For those of you that have liked the videos and subscribed to the channel, I am totally grateful for that. Thank you so very much. For those of you that have persevered with me through all my adjustments and changes through this process, I said in the last reading is that, you know, even people who read the cards or have psychic abilities or things like that, we're all still going through our spiritual development as well. It never stops. And sometimes there are moments that are very trying and very defeating, and then sometimes there are moments that are glorious and wonderful and just magnificent. And so thank you to you guys that have really persevered through that. I so very much appreciate it. And I thank you for your energy that you send as I do these, because it just makes the readings more robust. Thank you so very much. If you haven't liked or subscribed and this has meaning for you and you enjoyed the reading, please hit the thumbs up. It just helps get the video in the algorithm on YouTube so that it will show up in other people's recommend. I thank you so very much. I hope your autumn is absolutely as blessed as this reading says it's going to be. Trust it, guys. I think it's arrived. It's coming in for you. Thank you so very much. Peace and love. Bye-bye.